Hello, my fellow Christian fiction lovers. Welcome to another video. Today, I am going to be doing the Christian Girl book tag. So, a couple of days ago, back on May 5th, I don't know when this video will be coming out, but back on May 5th, Lucy over at the Lucy Chronicles posted her Christian Girl book tag, and then she tagged me, and I've never been tagged in anything before, so I just thought that was so sweet. And thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it. I'm loving slowly getting to know more Christian booktubers, even if it's literally just like I comment on their videos, they comment on mine. Like, it's so fun because I honestly don't have a ton of friends that read similar books to what I read. So, or maybe I do, but they don't read as avidly as I do. Like I'm consuming 6 to 8 books a month, whereas a lot of my friends, like, they'll read like 1 to 2, which is completely normal. Like, I am a bit unhinged in how much I read, and like, so are a lot of us booktubers. It's completely normal to not read as much as we do. But anyway, all that to say, it's been really fun to connect with other booktubers. Yeah, in comment sections, in tags, on lives. I'm loving it. Okay, moving on to the actual video. There are 7 questions. I have cheated a little and picked out 8 books. I picked out 2 books for the final question, but that's okay. We'll get into all of it. But this tag was originally created by the queen of Christian booktube herself, Oshina, over at Oshina Reads Co. Love her. I've been watching her for years. She is awesome. But yeah, I didn't even know she'd created a tag. So let's get into it. The first first question is, pick a book that inspired you in your walk with God or your faith in Jesus. Now, I have done my very best for all of these to pick books that I maybe haven't talked about in a while, and this one I haven't talked about in a while, or books that aren't like super like mainstream Christian booktube, except for this one. I could not pass up the opportunity to talk about A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. I adore this book. This book inspired me. Hadassah is a character I still think about on the regular, even though it has been a good 7 years since I originally read this series. I did try to get back into it last year and start rereading it, but I forgot how much exposition happens in the first couple of chapters, and I was just kind of like not in the mood. So, I do want to reread these books eventually. Hopefully in the next year or two, I would like to reread these books, but I still remember and think about Hadassah and remember certain scenes and basically just the way that she grows in her faith from a Christian who is like very doubtful and very like, why, like, what is God even doing? Like, kind of, I guess, a weak faith, you could say, to the strongest, just most Jesus loving, the love of Jesus, the truth of the gospel is portrayed in everything she does. Like, her walk as a Christian in the early church in this time period is so inspiring, and it's like, this is how I want to live in my community. So yes, this book still inspires me in my walk with God and in my faith journey. I'd say I probably think about it on a like weekly, bi-weekly basis. Okay, and then the second prompt is, pick a book that shows an ultimate sacrifice for someone else. Okay, so for the book I picked for this is The Edge of Belonging by Amanda Cox, because Harvey, in this book, he very quickly in the beginning of the book, he finds a newborn baby deserted on the side of the road. Like, hello, people, what are we doing? Why are we leaving our children on the side of the road? Um, anyway, he finds her, and Harvey has basically been a social recluse. He avoids people. He does not want to interact with society. He is purposely homeless. Like, he has a setup away from society. He doesn't have a home, all of this stuff. But upon finding this baby, and he names her Ivy Rose, he braves society. He braves getting a job so that he can take care of her. And he basically faces his fears of talking to people, and like he sacrifices his, what he thinks is his like comfortable position of being homeless and being away from, like, cut off from society on purpose. He sacrifices that so that he can take care of Ivy Rose and provide for her. And then there is another sacrifice that he makes later in the book that I'm not going to say because it is a spoiler. But yeah, this book is full of sacrifice. Oh, and then also, I wasn't even thinking about this when I picked the book up, but um, Harvey forms a friendship with, I believe her name is Pearl. He forms a friendship with Pearl, the former pastor's wife of this church that he ends up working for, and she also like makes some sacrifices in kind of helping him out. So, yeah, lots of sacrifice going on in this book, and it's beautiful. I love it so much. Please go read this book. I love Amanda Cox. Okay, and then the third prompt is pick a book with your favorite love story in it. This was difficult for me because I do not approach books looking for like the best love story. I definitely approach books of like, is there good faith content? Is there good character growth? If a relationship is thrown in there, that's great. But like, it's not the sole reason I'm reading. But I was looking over my shelves and I did pick this book because of the many, many, many books I've read by this author, this is one of the love stories that I remember the most about. And I can remember like specific scenes and plot points with it. Anyway, that is A Light on the Hill by Connellan Cosette. This is the first book in the Cities of Refuge series. I have read the entire series. I love all of them. You guys know I love anything Connellan Cosette writes, like literally anything. But this specific book follows Mariah and um, it doesn't have his name on the back of the book. What? Why? Okay, well it doesn't. I can't find his name. I think it might be Derek, but um, I don't want to like dig through the book to find it. Anyway, their love story is just, it's really beautiful because he basically, Mariah has to like go on the run because she accidentally, truly an accident, she accidentally murders um someone by poisoning them. And within Levitical law, if she gets to one of the cities of refuge, the um like blood avenger in the family can't kill her. um I'm I'm not making this up. This is in the Bible, I promise. And so I believe the guy, I think it was his brother that she accidentally killed. And so or maybe it was his father. It was his family member. And basically he's like, I'm going to help get you to safety because I know you didn't mean to. It was an accident. And along the way, you know, they kind of like maybe fall in love. And they have a really beautiful love story. I love it. I think it's beautiful and I think about it a lot. Whereas some of the other ones in this series and some of her other books, I don't necessarily think about the love story as much as I do like the faith or the character development. Does that make sense? I don't know. That was a hard one for me because I don't know, I just don't think about the love stories of books a lot. Okay, fourth. Why was I going to say second? Fourth is pick a book with an epic good versus evil battle. This one was also difficult for me because like I don't read a lot of fantasy, which I feel like fantasy has a very strong like good versus evil. I guess Lord of the Rings, but I have talked about those a lot recently, so I wanted to pick something else. For this, I picked The Collector of Burned Books by Rosanna M. White. I gave this book 5 stars. I read this, this was many, many months ago now, but it was amazing. And I feel like this book is a really good, it shows a side of the good versus evil in World War II that goes beyond just the like persecuting Jews. And it shows the good versus evil of like I believe this is set in Paris. Yeah, just of the like non-Jewish Parisian citizens, of just the evil that shows up on their doorstep and how they have to fight it and face it. And also the war of good versus evil within um, the male main character in this, Christian. He is a Nazi soldier. He is a Nazi officer, but he does not agree with a lot of Nazi policies. um like the important ones that you should disagree with, he disagrees with those. And but he's also like, what, maybe I can do good by being a Nazi officer, and I can stop some evil things from happening because of my position. And so there's a lot of inner turmoil in him of like good versus evil in the war, when he's wearing the uniform of the evil side, yet trying to do things for the good side. And I loved it. I thought it was good. Like, I give me a character that is struggling with good versus evil within themselves. It's not just like a fight of like, well, I'm clearly on the good side and they're clearly on the evil side, you know? Like, does that make sense? So I really liked that aspect of this book, hence why I picked it for this prompt. Fifth, pick a book that has prayer and or Bible reading in it as an essential or major element for the story. Okay, and for this, I picked A Name Unknown, also by Rosanna M. White. This is not the last you will be seeing of her in this video either, but this book has, okay, so basically, I won't go super into depth, but basically, Rosemary, she goes to this like manor house out in the country of Britain. Um, and she has to like sort through this guy's library because she's trying to find specific documents. Anyway, the guy, Peter, he's the second main character. And Peter is mute, or he's not mute, but he has a stutter. Like, he does not he doesn't speak well. He has a speech impediment of some kind, and he writes a lot of notes to different people so he can just get his point across clearly. Like, he writes notes to his staff, he writes notes to his friends, and in those notes he sometimes will write prayers over them. And he specifically will write notes to Rosemary to kind of let her know of like, hey, want you to do this today, or like, hey, can you join me for dinner? Like things like that, because they start forming a like kind of friendship as she's working there. Um, and in these notes that he writes to her, he starts writing prayers for her. And it is very central to the book because it does lead Rosemary to ask questions about God and should she believe in God, because she is in her reasons for being there are not pure. She's also trying to find these documents to like prove that Peter is a bad person, like someone hired her to do that. Um so she's kind of there on like false terms in a way. And so she's like, through for this friendship with Peter and the ways that he's praying for her and talking about God, it's very central to like her inner character growth of like, like, what does God think about this? Like, can I have a relationship with God and be a crook and lie? You know? So, definitely central to the story, definitely furthers the plot and furthers her character development. So, yeah, I really liked this book too. Obviously. It's funny to me when I do videos and after about books that I like, and I'm like, I really like this book. I'm like, of course you did. That's why you're talking about it. That is the whole reason you're talking about the book, is because you liked it. So sometimes I judge myself. Okay. Sixth, pick a book that personally challenged you or that has persecution for one's faith in it. So I'm going with the latter of this, the persecution. And for that, I'm picking The Girl from the Train by Irma Ubert. Now, this book brought me to tears. It was so sad, but so beautiful at the same time. And in this book, what is her name? Gretel. Um, Gretel ends up having to leave her family as a child, like as a young child during World War II, and ends up being relocated to South Africa. I am going so broadly over the plot of this book. It's crazy, but she ends up in South Africa with a new family at a certain point in this book. And she was raised Catholic and has like this Catholic past and kind of was, embedded in Catholicism, not in a bad way, just, that's what her original family, her birth family, believed in. But her new family is Protestant and they are very almost like anti Catholic, of like, no, we are Protestants. We believe in Jesus. We do not believe in certain Catholic things. And so I wouldn't say she faces persecution for it, but she does face like a lot of struggles and trying to fit in with her new family, but also trying to honor her Catholic roots and honor like this is what she believes. And I'm not going to get into like whether what she believes is right or not. It's the character for the character of the book, that was her belief system and she just faced some struggles for it. And I thought it was represented really well. And it's like at the end of the day, it's a Christian fiction book. She believes in Jesus. She believes in the resurrection, but it was just difficult, like the Catholicism versus Protestantism within her new family. So I feel like that half fulfills the prompt. I mean, she had to leave Poland because her family was being persecuted and she was going to end up in a concentration camp. So it does fulfill the prompt. She was being persecuted for that in Poland and then for Catholicism in South Africa. Seventh and final prompt: pick a book where the main character is different from everyone else or stands out or separates themselves apart for the plot. I couldn't find one or think of one where they separate themselves for the plot, but I have two where they are different from everyone else. Um and it definitely affects the plot because they are different. So the first of my picks is The Number of Love by Rosanna M. White. This is the first book in the Codebreakers series. Um, I would recommend reading this book and this series after reading the Shadows over England series because it does you get you whoa, what am I saying? You meet characters in those books that show up in these books. So, Margot de Wilde, she is the sister of one of the main characters from one of the previous books. But she is a numbers girl. She loves numbers. Can never, ever, ever relate to that a day in my life, but good for her. Love that for her. She is working in the Codebreakers office in World War One. That's probably not what it's called, but like, sure, the Codebreakers office, because she's so good with numbers. And she's the only girl there because girls in that time were like moms and wives and teachers and nurses. They didn't like crack enemy codes. So she's definitely very different and she feels very like isolated and lonely and like I can't really connect with my male coworkers. Um, and yeah, so she is different. She sees patterns, she sees numbers. That's how she makes sense of the world. And I think good for her. That's not for me, but good for her, you know? So that was the first one that I chose. And then I did choose a second because when I looked at the stack of books that I picked, I realized I picked three Rosanna M. White books, and I wanted to give a little diversity just in case you are taking recommendations from this, maybe. And maybe Rosanna M. White, maybe historical fiction like that isn't your vibe. So the other book I picked for this prompt is Things We Didn't Say by Amy Lynn Green. I did talk about this book in my reading wrap up last week, so I won't go super into it. But Joanna, the main character in this book, she is also different. She's spunky. She has a personality. Sometimes she has a little bit of an attitude, I'm not gonna lie. But her ideas and kind of the way that she like functions and operates in her hometown, she challenges others and she challenges like her boss and her friends and her parents. And I wouldn't say challenge in a like, I'm going to take you down way, just in a like, I have a different perspective and I'm not going to be quiet about it way. And I'm going to be honest, I can relate to that. That is that is me sometimes. But yeah, she's a spunky, sassy woman. Um, and this is set in like the 1940s. So at that time, definitely different than her counterparts. And also the only woman working at a German prisoner of war camp, kind of similar to the last book. The only woman working in a definitely male centered field. Anyway, those are the 7 prompts, the 8 books that I chose for this tag. I had a lot of fun picking these out. It was a little harder than I thought to pick out for some of them, but I enjoyed it and I loved it. I am supposed to tag people at the end, but I don't know who has and hasn't done it. So I'm just gonna say if you want to do this tag, you should do it. Let that be your free pass. Just be like, Sierra tagged me because she said I could do it. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in a video very soon. Bye. Oh, also, I did forget to mention that my Pango bookstore is still alive and I still have tons of books on tons. I still have plenty of books on there. If you would like to get some Christian fiction or classics for a lot less money than you would traditionally, go ahead and check that out. I will have it linked in my description. Okay, for real. Bye.